Don't come for New Year's Eve. My husband doesn't want you here. My daughter's text hit like a punch. For 5 years, I watched him isolate her control, her push me away. Everyone said, stay quiet, keep the peace. But they didn't know that house they called theirs was mine. I'd kept silent long enough. I sent one text back. 53 minutes later, my daughter stood at my door, pale and shaking. She had no idea what I'd set in motion. Her husband never saw it coming. What happened next destroyed his world and saved hers. Before I tell you what happened, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know this story reaches people who understand what it means to stand up for family. My name is David Martinez, 65 Army veteran, Portland. I raised Emily alone after my wife died working construction and security. 20 years of that grind bought me enough to help my daughter when she needed it. 5 years ago, Emily married Brandon Cole. Marketing job seemed decent. When they got engaged, I put the down payment on a house for them in Beaverton, 3 bedrooms, the kind of start I never had. We kept it in my name temporarily. Dad, this is too much, Emily said, but that's what fathers do. That first year was good. Sunday calls, monthly dinners, Brandon grilling burgers. Emily looked happy. I thought I'd done right. Then things changed. Calls became less frequent. When I phoned, Brandon answered, "She's busy. I'll have her call back." She rarely did. Visits, always a reason. Brandon's sick. House is a mess. Not a good time. I told myself couples need space, but each excuse stung. When I did visit, Brandon hovered. If Emily and I talked, he'd interrupt. Something needed fixing, and Emily would follow him apologetic. Next time, Dad. Next time came less and less. Brandon made comments. We value our independence. Married couples need boundaries with extended family. Like I was some distant relative, not the man who raised her. Emily changed around him. Quieter. Careful. This past year got worse. No Thanksgiving. Christmas alone while Emily sent a text. Then December 29th. I'd planned New Year's Eve with them. Bought steaks, hoped we could talk, maybe get my daughter back. The text hit hard. Not other plans. Brandon doesn't want you here. Banned from a house I'd bought. From my daughter's life. I sat in my kitchen and something clicked. 20 years in the Army taught me to see clearly. Facts don't lie. I bought that house. My name's on the deed. They'd never paid one mortgage payment, and I'd been slowly erased. I opened my laptop. Property records, David Martinez, sole owner. My fingers moved. This is to inform you that I'm exercising my rights as property owner. You have 30 days to vacate. The eviction notice has been filed. I hit send. 10 minutes. 20. I made coffee, watched rain through my window. 45 minutes later, a car in my driveway. Emily's Honda. Through the window, I saw her staring at a paper. The eviction notice. She got out slowly, rain soaking her hair, face pale, clutching that paper. I opened the door. Dad? Her voice cracked. What have you done? I stepped aside and let her in. Emily stormed into the living room, eviction notice clutched like evidence. She paced, paper shaking. You can't do this. You can't just evict us. The notice is legal. 30 days Oregon law. But that's our home 5 years. It's my house, Emily. My name on the deed. My down payment. Every mortgage payment from my account. She stopped, stared, like she'd never thought about who actually owned it. We've taken care of it, made it our own, without permission, without asking. Her face flushed. I stayed seated, hands steady. When did you stop calling me? We've been busy. When did Brandon start answering your phone? Silence. When did I become unwelcome in a house I bought? She shifted. We have boundaries. We're married. We need space. Then why am I not welcome for New Year's in my house? The question hung between us. She couldn't answer directly, eyes sliding away. Brandon just thought, our own traditions. It's not personal. It is personal. Your husband doesn't want me there. You chose him over your father. Tears filled her eyes, but she stayed defensive. You're overreacting. It's one holiday. It's about respect, about everything you've taken for granted. She tried negotiating. What if we invite you now? I shook my head. Too late. Anger replaced tears. So you're punishing us over one text. I'm reclaiming what's mine. Where do we go? Brandon just quit his job to... She stopped. Cold settled in my gut. Brandon quit. Defensive again. To start his business. Temporary. Red flag. But I didn't push yet. Please, Dad. We can't afford to move. I walked to the window. Rain starting outside. You should have thought about that before making me unwelcome in my own property. I turned. 30 days, Emily. The notice stands. She stared, tears streaming. I can't believe you're doing this. Brandon said you might, but I didn't think you would. Every instinct went on alert. Brandon said what? She realized her mistake. Nothing. Forget it. She headed for the door. Stopped. You're going to lose me over this. The words hit hard, but I'd been in combat. I knew how to take a hit. I already lost you, Emily. I'm just acknowledging it now. She flinched, then gone. Door slamming. Engine. Tires on wet pavement fading into rain. I stood in my living room, silence pressing down. What had I done destroyed my relationship with my only daughter over a house? But deeper that voice from the army, the one that cut through emotion. No, you stood up for yourself, drew a line. For years I'd let it happen. The slow erosion, I told myself it was normal giving them space. But there's space, and there's erasure. The house was just property. But respect, dignity, those mattered more. I couldn't go back now. Wouldn't. 30 days. The next morning, I woke up with clarity. In the military, we had a saying. Hope is not a strategy. You need intel. You need a plan. You need to execute. By 9 a.m. on December 30th, I was in Patricia Henderson's law office downtown. She'd handled my will years back. Sharp, no nonsense. I laid out the situation, the text, the eviction, Emily's confrontation. Patricia reviewed the paperwork. Legally airtight. The house is yours. They've never paid mortgage. 30 days is proper notice. She paused. But family disputes get ugly. It's already ugly. She nodded. Then we document everything. Filed the official eviction with the court. Get a property inspection. If they made unauthorized changes, you need records. She handed me a card. Bill Morrison, appraiser. I called him from my truck, January 2nd. That Tuesday arrived cold and wet. I texted Emily, property inspection today, 2 p.m., my legal right as owner. No response. Bill met me at the house. I hadn't been inside in months. All those excuses suddenly made sense. Walking through the front door, my stomach dropped. The house had changed. Where there used to be walls, now open space. Modern. Wrong. Bill took notes, measurements, photos. Load-bearing walls, he said, pointing. Removed without permits. Serious code violation. Master bathroom, new tile, new fixtures. He knocked on the wall. Hollow sound. Water damage behind here. Improper installation. Throughout the house, unpermitted electrical structural issues, shortcuts everywhere. When Bill closed his folder, we stood in the kitchen. Mr. Martinez, between unpermitted work and water damage, you're looking at $43,000 in repairs. Maybe more. $43,000. They've destroyed your investment, Bill said quietly. After he left, I walked through alone. This was supposed to be Emily's security. I'd worked double shifts for 2 years to save that down payment. Passed on everything so she could have what I never had. They'd gutted it. Without asking. Without permission. The anger rose cold and clear. This wasn't about one holiday. This was fundamental disrespect. They'd treated my property like theirs to destroy. I drove home through rain. My phone silent all day. Emily never responded to my text. At home, I sat with Bill's report. $43,000. Photos showing everything. This validated the eviction. They'd proven they couldn't be trusted. Documentation secured. Legal process moving forward. My phone vibrated. When I saw the caller ID, I knew the real fight was just beginning. Brandon Cole. We'd never spoken directly, just pleasantries at family dinners, I answered. His voice was cold, controlled, reminded me of enemies in combat trying to negotiate. David, we need to discuss this situation you've created. I'm exercising my property rights. That's one way to see it. Another is you're making your daughter homeless before New Year's. I kept my voice level. She's had 5 years rent-free. That's generous. You can't stand that Emily chose me, that she has her own life. If you believe that you don't know me. I'm posting on social media. Elderly veteran evicting daughter during holidays. News stations love these stories. My jaw clenched. I'll share the story about unauthorized destruction. 43,000 in damage. Code violations. No permits. Silence. You had it inspected. Voice different now. Caught. I documented everything. We improved the house. Without permission, that's destruction. He hung up. Next morning, January 3rd, they showed up. 9 a.m. Emily and Brandon together. Brandon holding a folder, fake smile. Emily exhausted. I let them in. Brandon pulled out contractor estimates. We can fix everything. Get permits retroactively, pay for repairs. I looked at the numbers. 43,000. With what money you quit your job? I've been approved for a personal loan. Red flag. Debt to fix damage they caused. And we want to buy the house. Get a mortgage, pay market value. Sounded reasonable. but I saw calculation in Brandon's eyes. Certainty he'd won. Emily added, "We'll invite you for holidays. Call more. Things will go back. Back to when you stopped answering calls." When Brandon decided if I could visit. Emily flinched. Brandon stayed smooth. "We're trying to make this right. Meet us halfway." I walked to the window. Rain outside. "If I drop the eviction, what really changes, you'll still resent me. Eventually, we'll be right back here." "That's not—" I turned. "Be honest, Brandon. Will you genuinely welcome me into your lives?" His mask slipped. Just a second. Flash of anger. Emily saw it. Uncomfortable. Brandon stood, voice harder. "You're making a mistake. Emily will never forgive you." Brandon never... Emily started, his hand on her arm pulling. "We're done here." She hesitated, looking at me. He pulled harder. "Emily, let's go!" She followed him out. After they left, Margaret knocked. My neighbor. Heard raised voices. "You all right?" I explained the situation. She listened, grave. "I've seen him around. The way he watches you. Controls when Emily talks to you." She paused. "That's not normal. Not healthy. I taught 30 years. I know his type. Controlling. Manipulative. You should find out who Brandon Cole really is." After she left, I sat with her words. She was right. I needed to know exactly who Brandon Cole really was. The next morning, I called Patricia. "I need to know who this man really is," I said. She didn't hesitate. "Sharon Rivera. She's the best private investigator I know." By afternoon, I was in Sharon's office in Portland's Pearl District. Woman in her 40s, professional, direct. I explained Brandon Cole married to my daughter, manipulation, property damage, isolation. I need his background, employment history, finances, anything that explains why he's doing this. Sharon took notes. Full name, previous addresses where he worked. I realized I knew almost nothing about Brandon's past. He worked in marketing when they met. Some firm. Emily could never remember the name. "I'll find out. Give me a week, maybe 10 days. "What will you look for?" "Employment records, credit history, court records, social media, public records. If there's something to find, I will find it." I nodded. "In the military, we called it reconnaissance." She smiled slightly. "Exactly that." The next 9 days crawled by. I maintained my routine. Coffee shop mornings, walks, veterans group meetings. Emily called twice. First call, January 7th. "Dad, please reconsider. We're looking at apartments. Everything's so expensive. You have until January 28th. That's 21 days. Brandon says you're being vindictive." "Brandon says a lot of things." Silence. Then she hung up. Second call, January 11th. "The house means everything to us, please." It meant something to me, too. That's why I bought it. She was crying. "I don't understand why you're doing this." "I think you do. You just don't want to admit it." She hung up. I wondered, was I wrong too harsh? But then I remembered the text. The isolation, the destruction, Brandon's threats. No, I was protecting myself. Finally. January 14th morning. My phone, Sharon Rivera. "I have your information on Brandon Cole. We need to meet today. This can't wait." The urgency made my pulse quicken. "How soon?" "Can you come to my office in an hour?" "No." I drove through morning traffic. What could be so urgent? Sharon's office, folder on her desk. She opened it. Brandon Cole is not who he claims to be. Documents spread across the table. First job after college, marketing coordinator at Westview Brands. Employed 18 months, fired for embezzlement. I stared. Embezzlement. Small amounts. Petty cash, falsified expense reports. Company didn't prosecute to avoid scandal. Just terminated him and blacklisted him in the industry. More documents. Second job, real estate investment firm. Lasted 11 months. Fired for forging client signatures on documents. Again, no prosecution. Company wanted to avoid bad press. But there's a pattern here. Sharon pulled out a credit report. He's in debt. $60,000. Credit cards, personal loans, even a payday loan from 3 months ago. I felt cold. Emily doesn't know. She said he had savings. He lied to her. And there's more. Computer screen, Brandon's search history obtained legally through public records request at the library. Search terms. Adverse possession. Oregon tenant rights after 5 years. How to claim property through continuous occupation. I stared at the screen. "He wasn't trying to drive you away because he dislikes you," Sharon said. "He was trying to steal your house. If he could establish 5 years of continuous occupation, treat it as his own, make improvements, he could potentially claim ownership through adverse possession. The isolation, the renovations, treating it as their house, it was all calculated." I sat back processing. This wasn't about family drama. This was theft. Premeditated theft. Sharon closed the folder. "You need to show Emily. Before it's too late, I said quietly. Would she believe me, or was Brandon's grip on her too strong? I sat in my truck outside Sharon's office, the folder on the passenger seat. I texted Emily dinner tonight. Just you. We need to talk. It's important. 10 minutes later, okay, 6 p.m. I drove home and started cooking. Beef stew, Emily's favorite since childhood. I used to make it every Sunday. The smell filled the house, pulling memories forward. Emily at 8 helping me peel carrots. Emily at 25 bringing Brandon to Sunday dinner for the first time. When had everything changed? The folder sat on the coffee table waiting. At 6 o'clock she knocked. Emily stepped inside, guarded. Brandon wanted to come. I asked for just you. We sat at the table, the stew between us. Emily took a bite. I haven't had this in years. You haven't been to Sunday dinner in years. We've been busy. You mean Brandon's been busy. That's not fair. Heavy silence. Finally, Emily set down her fork. Why did you want me here? I reached for the folder. I hired a private investigator to look into Brandon's background. Her face went pale. You did what? You had no right. That's an invasion of... I slid the folder across. Read it, please. Emily stared at it like a bomb. I don't want to. Emily, read it. She opened it with shaking hands. I watched her face. First page, Westview Brands. Her eyes widened. This says he was fired for embezzlement. Next page, forged documents. She covered her mouth. Credit report, $60,000 in debt. No, she whispered. He said he had savings. He said we were stable. He lied. Last page's search history about adverse possession. Her hands trembled harder. What's that? A legal way to claim property by living there, making improvements. Brandon was researching how to steal my house, from both of us. Emily walked to the window. Rain streaked the glass. Her reflection showed tears. He wouldn't. He couldn't. But her voice lacked conviction. Look at the evidence, sweetheart. She turned back, broken. If this is true, if he's been lying... She sank into the chair, head in her hands. I defended him. I chose him over you. I reached across the table. You didn't know. I should have known. Her voice cracked. God, Dad, I should have seen it. The memories rushed back now different. Brandon always answering when I called. Brandon always having reasons I couldn't visit. Brandon controlling their accounts. Making her feel guilty for wanting time with her father. I need to talk to him, she said, taking the folder. Give him a chance to explain. Be careful. Men like him don't like being confronted. Emily hugged me, a real hug, the first in months. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I love you, no matter what happens. Remember that. She left with the folder. I cleaned up, then waited. 3 hours passed. I couldn't sleep. At 11:47 p.m. my phone buzzed. Emily, we need to talk, all three of us. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. at your place, please. They arrived separately. That told me something. Emily drove up first, sat in her car for a full minute before stepping out. Her eyes were red like she'd been crying all night. Brandon's truck pulled in 5 minutes later. He walked to my door like a man heading to court. In a way he was. They came inside. The tension was thick enough to cut. My living room. I sat in my armchair. Emily took the couch. Brandon stood. Sit down, Brandon, Emily said, not a request, a command. He sat, but his posture was restless. The folder lay on the coffee table between them. I stayed silent. This was Emily's show now. I've been thinking about this all night, Emily began. Her voice trembled but held firm. In the military, I thought, this is the moment before everything explodes. You can feel it in the air. The pressure building. Emily looked at Brandon. I need you to tell me the truth. About what? About everything. Emily opened the folder. Westview Brands. You told me you left because of bad management. Brandon's face grew cautious. But this report says you were fired for embezzlement. Those accusations were false. I was scapegoated. The company needed someone to blame for... Did you or did you not take money from petty cash and falsify expense reports? Brandon kept talking. It's complicated. The corporate culture there was... Emily's voice hardened. Did you or didn't you, Brandon? Silence. They didn't prosecute because there wasn't enough evidence, Brandon finally said. Emily flipped the page. Riverside Real Estate Investments. You said you left to pursue better opportunities. I did. You were fired for forging client signatures. Brandon's jaw clenched. That's taken out of context. I had verbal authorization. Did you forge signatures, yes or no? The paperwork needed to be processed quickly. Emily slammed the folders shut. So that's a yes. I watched Brandon's mask crack. Emily wasn't done. You told me you had $15,000 in savings when we got married. She pulled out the credit report. This report shows you're $60,000 in debt. Credit cards, personal loans, and a payday loan from October. Brandon stood up. Who the hell do you think you're investigating me? This is an invasion of privacy. I spoke calmly. Sit down. Command voice. Brandon sat. Emily stood now, pacing. You quit your job last month. You said you were starting a business. I am. With what money? We have no savings. You're $60,000 in debt. How were you planning to start a business? Brandon said nothing. I leaned forward. Tell her about adverse possession. Brandon's face went pale. Emily looked between us. What's that? Dad mentioned it, but I didn't understand. I explained. It's a legal concept. If someone occupies a property, treats it as their own, makes improvements, eventually they can claim ownership, especially if the actual owner isn't regularly present. Understanding dawned on Emily's face. She stared at Brandon. Were you trying to... That's ridiculous. Your father's paranoid. You searched the phrase adverse possession in Oregon 17 times, I said flatly. Tenant rights after 5 years. How to claim property through continuous occupation. I was just curious about... You were researching how to steal my house. Emily stared at Brandon. Oh my God. The renovations? You kept insisting we renovate. We were making improvements. You tore down walls without permits. You changed everything. You were claiming it as your house. Brandon, you're twisting everything. Emily, and you kept Dad away. Every time he wanted to visit, you had an excuse. You didn't want him coming by. You didn't want him present because that would undermine your claim. The pieces clicked together. The phone calls. You always answered my phone when Dad called. You controlled when we saw him. Brandon stood. I was protecting our marriage. Your father is controlling... My father bought us a house, Emily shouted. The room went silent. Emily was breathing hard, tears streaming. He gave us everything. And you were trying to steal it all. Brandon's face changed. The fake pleasantness vanished. Something cold underneath. You want the truth, Emily? Fine. Here's the truth. That house should have been ours. We lived there 5 years. We made it ours. Your father had no right to use it as leverage over us. Emily, it wasn't his to give away in the first place. It was his house. Brandon, and he used it to control you. Control us. He couldn't stand that you chose me. This isn't about him controlling me. This is about you controlling me. Brandon's voice rose. I gave you a life, a home, a future. With my father's money. Brandon's anger was fully visible now. You're weak, just like him. You can't see the bigger picture. Emily's voice dropped quiet but final. Get out. What? Get out of this house. Get out of my father's house. Emily, don't do this. We can work through this together. Emily's voice went hard. I said get out. Brandon looked at me. This is your fault. You poisoned her against me. I showed her the truth, I said. You did the rest yourself. Brandon turned to Emily. You'll regret this. You think you'll be happy with just him. You'll end up lonely and bitter just like your father. Emily, leave, now, or I'm calling the police. Brandon grabbed his coat and headed for the door. He turned back. You deserve each other. Both of you pathetic. Both of you stubborn. Have a nice life. The door slammed. His truck started, then drove away too fast. Silence filled the living room. Emily stood there shaking. Then she collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. I moved to sit beside her. Said nothing, just stayed there. I'm sorry, Emily said. Dad, I'm so sorry. You didn't know. I should have known. I should have seen it. God, all the signs were there, and I made excuses for him. I chose him over you. I put my arm around her shoulders. You're here now. That's what matters. They sat together while Emily cried. Finally, I need to file for divorce. I'll help you. And Dad? That house? I can't live there anymore. Not after knowing what he did. I know. It's okay. Can I stay here just for a few days while I figure things out? Stay as long as you need. Emily hugged me, holding tight like when she was small. You were right about everything, she whispered. Father and daughter, together. Rain still falling outside. Emily, I'm going to get my things today, before he can do anything. I'll come with you. Emily nodded, wiping her tears. Thank you for not giving up on me. I never could. That afternoon we went to the house. Brandon's truck was gone. He'd packed and left. Maybe he knew it was over. Emily packed clothes, personal items, photos, left everything Brandon bought. I thought this was my dream home, but it was always a trap. We loaded boxes. Emily left the keys on the counter. Filing for divorce tomorrow. She moved into my spare room. Over 2 weeks, Emily apartment hunted, met a divorce lawyer. Brandon stayed in the house, refusing to leave. Patricia called. He's citing tenant rights, but the eviction stands. Deadline January 28th. What if he doesn't leave? The sheriff removes him. January 28th, 10 a.m. Patricia and I stood outside. A sheriff's deputy arrived. Brandon's truck in the driveway still there. The deputy knocked. Mr. Cole Sheriff's office. You need to vacate this property. The door opened. Brandon unshaven, looking rough. This is my house. I've lived here 5 years. You can't throw me out. Sir, this property is owned by David Martinez. You were given proper 30-day notice. The court ordered you to leave. Brandon saw me by Patricia's car. This is illegal. I have rights. I made improvements. Sir, if you don't leave voluntarily, I'll escort you out. Brandon grabbed a duffel bag, stormed outside. Got in my face. You'll pay for this. I'll sue. Patricia said calmly, You do that. Brandon drove off. The deputy did a walkthrough, confirmed vacant. Handed me the keys. It's yours again, Mr. Martinez. I stared at the house I'd bought with hope, now just wreckage. 2 weeks later, a lawsuit arrived. Brandon sued for unjust enrichment, demanding $50,000 for his renovations. Patricia laughed. He wants you to pay him for destroying your house? Court in March. The judge reviewed evidence, unpermitted construction, $43,000 damage. Bill Morrison testified. Photos presented. The judge looked at Brandon over her glasses. You tore down load-bearing walls without permits, causing $43,000 damage. And you want the property owner to pay you? Case dismissed. Mr. Cole, you owe Mr. Martinez $3,500 in attorney fees. Brandon's face went red. Silent. Outside, Patricia. He won't pay. No money. At least it's official. 3 months later, Emily told me, Brandon filed bankruptcy, moving to his parents in California. Good riddance. I couldn't afford the $43,000 repairs. Didn't want to anyway. Too many bad memories. Listed as is in April. Realtor warned, you'll take a loss. Just sell it. A developer offered to tear down and rebuild. Lower than hoped, but profit. After mortgage payoff, $85,000. Not the investment I'd planned, but enough. June closing. I signed papers, handed keys to a stranger. Chapter closed. Enough to secure retirement. Enough to live on my terms. Enough to finally be free. For the first time in years, I could breathe. 1 year passed, then another. My life changed in ways I never expected. With the money from the house sale, I finally took the trip I'd been postponing. Cross-country drive, visiting veteran buddies scattered across America. Montana, Texas, Carolina. Men who understood sacrifice, honor standing your ground. They understood what I'd done and why. Back in Portland, I joined a local veteran group. Tuesday morning coffee at the diner on 82nd Avenue. Sharing stories, helping younger vets adjust to civilian life. It gave me purpose, community. I started woodworking, something that required hands and focus. Built bookshelves for Emily, planters for Margaret. Simple work, satisfying. My life was my own again. No waiting for calls that never came. No wondering why I wasn't welcome. Living on my terms. Emily moved to a small apartment in Selwood. Started therapy processing what the therapist called coercive control. Learning to recognize manipulation, rebuild her confidence. The Brandon years, she called them, like lost time. But she was finding herself again. Got promoted at work. Turns out she worked well without someone undermining her. Joined a book club, made friends outside romantic relationships. 6 months ago, she met Kevin at a friend's birthday party. Graphic designer, kind, straightforward. No games, no manipulation. When he disagreed with Emily, he said so politely. When she wanted to see me, Kevin said, tell him I say hi. Simple, healthy. One Sunday, Emily brought Kevin to my place for dinner. My new tradition, Sunday dinners like the old days. Kevin shook my hand. She talks about you constantly. You're clearly her hero. She's mine too. The three of us ate together. Beef stew, Emily requested it. Kevin asked about my military service, genuinely interested. Emily laughed. Real laughter, not the forced kind from the Brandon years. After dinner, Margaret waved from her porch. Still keeping an eye on me, still bringing casseroles. Emily and Kevin left, promising to return next week. I washed dishes, the house quiet. I thought about everything that had happened. The text that started it all. The eviction notice. The investigation, the confrontation. Brandon's fall. The house sold. And now this piece. Sometimes people ask, do you regret it, throwing your daughter out? My answer is always the same. I didn't throw my daughter out. I threw out the man who was stealing from both of us. On my 67th birthday, Emily threw me a small party. Margaret and Carol guys from the veteran group, Kevin. Cake bad, jokes, stories. Emily raised her glass. To my dad, who taught me that love doesn't mean accepting abuse. that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, that standing up for yourself is the bravest thing you can do. I felt tears sting. That night alone, I reflected. I'd survived poverty war, rebuilt after loss, but confronting my daughter's husband, that was the hardest battle, and the most important, because it taught Emily the same lesson. She deserved respect. She deserved to be fought for, even when it meant fighting those who claimed to love her. I stood by the window, Portland's lights hazy in the distance. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and Emily owned hers. Standing up for yourself isn't cruel, I thought. It's necessary. You teach people how to treat you, and sometimes the most loving thing you can do is draw a line and hold it. Outside, the first stars began to appear. Inside, peace. Finally, peace. Looking back now, I see how close I came to losing her forever. Not just Emily, but myself too. I almost let fear keep me silent. I almost convinced myself that keeping the peace was more important than standing up for what was right. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're standing at your own door reading a text that says you're not welcome in your daughter's life. Don't wait until someone has stolen not just your property, but your relationship with the people you love most. If there's one lesson from this true story, it's this: silence isn't peace. Accepting abuse isn't love. And sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is to refuse to enable their destruction. God gave me strength when I needed it most. When I sat in that truck outside Sharon's office holding evidence of my son-in-law's lies, I prayed. I asked God, am I doing the right thing? Am I about to destroy my daughter's marriage? And I felt his answer, you're not destroying it. You're revealing what was already broken. This is one of those grandpa stories I never thought I'd tell. The kind where the lesson comes wrapped in pain, where doing the right thing costs you sleep, money, and peace of mind. But God doesn't promise us comfort. He promises us strength to do what's necessary. I've shared this true story, not for sympathy, but so you'll recognize the signs I missed. If someone is isolating your loved one, that's not love, that's control. If someone makes your family member choose between you and them, that's not partnership, that's manipulation. And if someone is researching how to legally steal from you while smiling at Sunday dinner, that's not family, that's fraud. Emily tells me now that my willingness to lose her was what saved her. You cared more about my safety than my approval, she said. That's when I knew what real love looked like. These are the grandpa stories worth passing down. Not the easy ones where everything works out without cost, but the hard ones where standing up means standing alone, at least for a while. Where God asks you to trust him when the path forward looks like loss. So here's my advice. Set the boundary. File the paperwork. Have the hard conversation. God will give you the words. He gave them to me, and I'm just an old veteran who learned woodworking in his 60s. Your life is worth fighting for. Your family is worth protecting, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. If this true story resonated with you, please leave a comment below. Share your own experience, or just let me know you heard me. Subscribe to this channel if you want more honest grandpa stories about life boundaries and the courage it takes to love people well. And remember, drawing a line isn't cruelty. It's necessary. God bless you all.